If you'd like to advertise with the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast, make sure to send an email to joshlopezwwe94@gmail.com with the subject line advertising. Thank you guys once again for your support as always and being loyal subscribers and dedicated supporters and fans of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. This show by the fans for the fans with an authentic point of view. Finally, for the love of God. All right, ladies and gentlemen, strap it down and get ready for episode 38 of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast.
And there's the ball! Goes crazy! His second national crown as a heavyweight. He's won gold in Atlanta! From Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, weighing in at 237 pounds.
I was born to win an Olympic gold medal, but I think my destiny was to come here in the WWE and entertain the fans.
He has held every title imaginable. He is the only Olympic gold medalist in WWE history. Kurt Angle. I know how to take you down. The ankle lock. The ankle lock.
Intensity, integrity, and intelligence. Yeah.
It's great to be back. Kurt Angle is home.
Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
And a standing ovation, ladies and gentlemen, for one of the all-time great in-ring performers in WWE history. And we'd like to thank Brian Campbell from ESPN.com for breaking the story earlier today. The 1996 Olympic gold medalist, a four-time WWE champion. I absolutely loved calling Kurt Angle's matches, and he was one of the great entertainers in the history of WWE. And folks, Kurt Angle, as he said earlier today, is coming home. Congratulations to Kurt Angle.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 38 of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast here. Hope you guys having another good week. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe to the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast, you can. Go to iTunes, more importantly there. But you also can get the podcast on Stitcher, Audio Boom, wherever you get your podcast from. I am the student of the game of professional wrestling, Josh Lopez. You can follow me on Twitter at NotoriousJoshy. Use the hashtag JWL Podcast to join the conversation when in regards to this podcast. This is your pro wrestling / sports entertainment audio form of pleasure. I'm here to have some fun, sit back, strap it down, and talk about the business that we all love. That's professional wrestling, right? Lots to get into this week. As always, we got to get into Raw. Royal Rumble is just about 2 weeks away, and we got a lot to get to when it comes to that show, because I can't tell you how excited I am to cover this show coming up on January 29th. Speaking of things that I'm covering and my play-by-play pieces, boy, we got to get to that UK Championship Tournament that just happened this past weekend. Got to talk about the major news that's going on with the WWE Hall of Fame that happened yesterday. Broke out from ESPN.com. Kurt Angle becoming the headline inductee in this year's Hall of Fame class at the Amway Center in 2017, which yours truly will be down there. So I hope I get to meet some of you guys down there, and girls too. You guys can meet yours truly down there in Orlando. I'm going to be there from March 30th, which is Thursday till Tuesday. So love to meet some of you guys there. As always, I'm all about interaction. I'm all about fair and positive interaction at the same time, though. I'm not in the mood for back and forth arguments where we're going to start calling each other cunts and all this other stuff. I'm not in the mood for that anymore. I like to have some educational and intelligent back and forth conversations about this business and have some fun, man. That's what's great about this business, man. It's supposed to be fun. I never looked at wrestling as a sport. You guys know this. I have always enjoyed wrestling for the entertainment factor. Jim Ross was the reason why I got into professional wrestling, and ever since then, since 1998, I've loved this business, and in 2018, it'd be my 20th year of being a wrestling fan. And I'm having as much fun right now watching the business as I did as a kid during the Attitude Era. We got to get to some other things as well in the show. We got to talk about SmackDown Live tonight. Big steel cage match between Becky Lynch and Alexa Bliss. Got to talk about Monday Night Raw. Got to talk about what's going on with Impact. Don West is back. That's pretty cool, huh? Also, there's something I've been wanting to talk about for a while. And I didn't think I was going to bring this guy up because actually I was one of the few people that actually supported the guy over the years. But you guys know me, man. When I need to go off on somebody, I'm not going to just come up with a blanket statement on the person. I'm going to back up what I'm going to say on Ryback with audio evidence. And I have audio evidence with me today to support my opinions because I thought Vince Russo was a backpedaler. Ryback is even worse. It's just truly bad, but nonetheless, I was going to say, ladies and gentlemen, that you and I know that Royal Rumble is the start to the road to WrestleMania, and with that comes Hall of Fame announcements, comes WrestleMania 33 match card predictions and fantasy booking, and going back to what I mentioned a couple seconds ago, Hall of Fame. And Hall of Fame is going to be different this year. It's going to be on the Friday of WrestleMania weekend. They switch it up, which I don't know why. I don't like when NXT TakeOver specials are the night before WrestleMania. I don't. I never have. I never will. I don't understand it. Those NXT TakeOver specials should be on a Friday, not the day before WrestleMania. Trying to say that NXT TakeOver is better than WrestleMania is just something I can't picture that because it's so many apples and oranges, and you guys know me. As much as I love NXT, I'm not on the hoopla of, oh my god, NXT is the greatest thing since sliced bread. I like NXT, but NXT has its flaws too, just as the main roster does. Nonetheless, going back to the Hall of Fame, with the major announcement of Kurt Angle going into the Hall of Fame this year really caught me by surprise. Not in a bad way, but in a phenomenal way. I couldn't be happier for Kurt. For those that don't know, Kurt was one of my favorite in-ring performers of all time, and which should be a surprise to anybody. Just like everybody else, nobody can deny the fact that Kurt Angle was one, if not the greatest in-ring performers of all time, especially with his amateur background and winning the Olympics with a gold medal. What a broken freaking neck! And just his in-ring prowess over the years and his accomplishments in TNA, his work with the WWE, getting to see Kurt Angle versus Rey Mysterio and Randy Orton at WrestleMania 22 when I was 12 years old. The last time I got to see him, it was really cool. I love Kurt Angle, and it's been a long minute since I saw Kurt Angle. I think the last time I saw Kurt was the TNA Impact tapings that were happening in Chicago. So that was really cool because it's been a while since I saw Kurt in person, and I'm happy that he's coming back. Kurt Angle is going to be doing an interview with Jonathan Coachman on Off the Top Rope, which you guys could check that out on ESPN Sports Center, or just check it out on Coach's Twitter account, the Coach ESPN. So we'll get more information as time goes on. For those that don't know, I'm also on the Pipe Bomb with McClellan Company on the New Age Insiders Network, which you can listen to every Fridays on iTunes. By the way, when it comes to iTunes, I want to get some honest feedback with you. The only way we can get the show growing is not only with advertising, but also reviews and honest feedback when it comes to the show. So recently I've been dealing with some Podomatic issues where you're only allowed a certain amount of bandwidth. I don't know if you guys know what that means, but basically, like, where I upload my shows onto iTunes, I take the RSS feed, and they have the option on iTunes where you can submit a podcast. All you have to do is share your RSS feed. And, doing this as an independent-based podcast where this show is not a part of WrestleZone or Crave Online Media or any other outlets that I've worked in the past. This is all independently run by me. So I don't have the money to pay $50 a month for a broadcasting site to just upload the shows every week. I wish I had the money. Maybe sometime down the road this year I will have the money to do that. But, in the meantime, I do this independently. I share all the podcasts on YouTube, my YouTube channel, Josh Lopez, where you can check out all my other previous editions of the podcast when we're on video back in the day with Adam Daly. We have over 35 episodes. Like, literally, after the Rumble, it'll be our 40th episode. Literally, the post-Royal Rumble show will be the 40th episode of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast, which also means we'll be 10 episodes away from 200 that I've done as part of the wrestling media, because coming up in March will be my 4th year in this wild circus that's known as the wrestling media. The point is that I love doing this podcast review for you guys, but I need to get the feedback. Positive, negative, I don't care. I love doing this show for you guys, but I want interaction. I want to know what you want to listen to, because that's my goal with this podcast, is to be different than everybody else. I know it's a cliche thing to say, but I think you guys can trust in the fact that I have been able to bring a different point of view when it comes to wrestling than most of the other people you guys listen to. And there's a lot of great shows out there, and I'm not going to begrudge you for supporting those podcasts, because I listen to those too. And this is a community, and building the podcasting game, especially for wrestling, is important. But it's also important to support the people who are doing this for the right reasons, who actually have an authentic opinions, and not just saying the same thing that everybody else is saying. That's why I wanted to get into this, because I have passion for this. I love doing this podcast for you guys, and I want to see if you guys are enjoying it or not, because that's important to me. I'm not going to waste my time doing this if you guys are not enjoying it. There's no point to that. Just me talking to myself is, it's whatever. It is what it is. But support the Pipe Bomb, support this show, and support all my other good friends' shows. You guys should know who they are by now. But going back to Kurt Angle, just really quick, some rambling off of matches that always stood out for me for Kurt's career. Never forget the one with him and Shawn Michaels from WrestleMania 21. I mentioned the WrestleMania 22 match. We had Angle and Benoit for WrestleMania 17. Angle versus Undertaker, one of my favorite Undertaker matches of all time. Undertaker versus Kurt Angle for No Way Out 2006. The matches he had with The Rock, Triple H, Austin, there's just so many. And Angle is the man, and there was always a lot of great matches from him during his time in TNA. Like, you can mention the one with him and Samoa Joe from Lockdown, or his series of matches with AJ Styles or Bobby Roode, or even Lashley before he left the company last year. Kurt Angle's the freaking man. I love him. I couldn't be happier for him. Totally deserving of this honor, and I'm going to be at the Hall of Fame this year too, so it's going to be a lot of fun to get to see that in person. So whether he has a match or not, that remains to be seen. I'd probably be talking about that more in depth on Friday with Matt. But in the meantime, I'm so happy for Kurt. I really am, and I'm happy for his family. I'm glad that he's in a good place. I'm glad he's happy, and this is really cool because that guy's went through a lot. The guy's not an angel. We all make mistakes. None of us are perfect. And Angle is in a good. I feel he's in good spirits from what I see. That you're not hearing him getting a lot of trouble like he was in the past. So I'm happy for him, man. It's really freaking cool, and it really made my day start off the week right. And you always hear that saying, "Oh my God, it's Monday. I got the case of the Mondays and all this other crap," which I think is a fallacy. I don't care what day of the week is. If you need to find a reason to be miserable just for the sake of being miserable, then I don't know what else to say to you, man. Life is too short to waste days just because you want to have your head up your ass on a certain day. I get it. Days are not rainbow. I get it that life's not rainbows and butterflies. I know people have bad days. I have bad days too. I just choose to go about it a different way. Find the things that bring you in a positive light and get you in the right spirit of things. So, I wanted to start off with the Kurt Angle stuff because that was the big news topic, right? That's what everybody's talking about. I know you guys wanted to get my thoughts on this as well, so there it goes right there. It's just a little sample, and we'll talk about that more in depth on Friday on the Pipe Bomb. Some other news I wanted to talk about. Well, here's the thing. They say, "Oh, here's no other news to talk about." As funny as you guys may think this is, and you guys may think I'm lying here because I do play-by-play pieces on a dirt sheet, I happen to not actually go into dirt sheets and try to find out what's the big news items or what's the new controversy, because over the years, I just become more and more disinterested and jaded to the entire thing as of what the dirt sheet represents, and there's some people in it that I have some disagreements and some people that I don't really care for personally as part of the wrestling media. It is what it is. So like when people tell me, "Oh, whatever Dave Meltzer writes is news," wherever Dave Meltzer reports, I'm using air quotes here, is news, I kind of laugh at them because it's not news. It's fabricated opinions with a sudden source that he never seems to reveal. I can't take you seriously if you can't reveal a source, or at least be upfront when you make a mistake with a report. So that's how I feel. But we're not going to spend most of this show talking about Dave Meltzer because ain't nobody got time for that. Well, I will start off this show this week, though, is a rant towards a guy that I thought I was going to have a lot of respect for. But he happened to fall down the trap of many of former professional wrestlers, personalities, and writers who decide to start a podcast and make an ass out of themselves. So this week, we're talking about Mr. Ryback. I think you guys have heard some of the recent comments he's made about John Cena. And before you guys say, "Oh, you're just going to rip Ryback with no evidence," I actually have evidence. So let's hear what the big bitch has to say, and I'll have my thoughts after. Here's Ryback.
The main thing the dirt sheets picked up is they covered the one sentence, "John Cena is a poison." So how do you feel about, that's what, because I think the dirt sheets they're clickbait. It is what it is. They want to get the clicks on it. And I don't know. Do you want to elaborate on that? Because we said a lot of quality stuff. If people listen to the show, I think they kind of understand, that's not all that was said in that episode, and there was a valid reason for that. But what do you think about that?
Again, I told you that it sucks that. I guess it's flattering that you have all these. They want to run stories every week. Mm-hmm. They don't do it. They don't do it in the most flattering of ways at times. Are you still there, Buck?
Yeah, sorry. My thing is, I'm just checking my battery, but yeah.
But they also quoted me as saying that he was a piece of shit, and I think a lot of people need to realize is that everybody else is an outsider. I was inside. I have my own personal firsthand experiences and accounts with John, and me with my Feed Me More brand and everything that I am doing. I base everything around telling the truth and telling it. And some things are obviously from my perspective that it would be detrimental to me to say things that were not true from my account and my experiences when I am also telling things that, you know what I mean?
I think so.
Like I have no agenda, no reason. But like they say what goes around comes around, and I have my podcast now, and it came up. And I spoke about it honestly. And I always said, I was telling my dad was asking me about this because my dad gets the Bleacher Reports.
Really?
And he goes, yeah. He gets the notifications, and he read, and he was just like, he goes, what's going on with this John stuff? And he's lived it with me.
Yeah.
He's lived it from when all this goes, as you did when I used to talk all the time. And I don't talk to a lot of people, so you guys were some of the few people that heard live accounts of when this stuff was going on. And I just said, I just told him, I talked about it on the podcast briefly, and it kind of took on a life of its own. But John is a wrestler I have no problem with as far as in the ring. And he was always fine to work with, and no problems whatsoever in the ring wrestling.
So do you think he's a very talented wrestler?
I think he's a very good wrestler. Yes.
Okay.
And I think he's held his own, and I have I have a different mindset than John, though, and I talked about this. What I was trying to say he's non-competitive, and I'm competitive. I'm competitive with myself, but I love the wrestling business. I truly do. I love myself, too, but I love the wrestling business. John always says he loves the WWE, but he does things that are only good for John Cena, loving John Cena. And he did it, and he's shown it time and time again, and anybody who's anybody there knows that. And everybody knows that. That's on the inside there.
Okay, now you say that, not to cut you off real quick, but you say everybody, is there any, I don't want to, you don't have to say names, but is there any examples of that in terms of, because people are going to listen to this and go, well, why is he's venting out on the guy that's been the top draw for the last, 15-something years.
That piece of audio is brought to you by Ryback's Conversations with the Big Guy podcast. If you guys want to listen to more of that, you guys can go check out his podcast. I want to make something perfectly clear before I go into my soliloquy or rant of the week, whatever you want to call it. In the beginning, I was actually for Ryback when he was first getting started, and I know that there was a lot of people out there who didn't give a shit about the guys, and they did the whole Goldberg comparisons, and it's like, oh, this guy's the reason why one of the bevy of reasons why CM Punk left the company, and all this other jazz. And I'm a person that can relate to people that are misunderstood. I really could, because it's happened to me. A lot of people like to throw labels out at you without getting to know the real person, and they go off what other people say about other people behind their backs, and all that's how certain people, they like to spin a narrative of how somebody is without going to the source, without going to how the person really is. And I want to say, you heard some of the clips into that in that podcast clip that I just played right there, that he did give credit where credit's due. He did give credit to where he said that he thought John was a good wrestler. And ladies and gentlemen, this is not me defending John Cena. I'm the last person in the world that needs to defend anybody, especially a wrestling character. My issue with what Ryback said in that podcast, and then just recently, that was just one example. My issue with Ryback is not who he is as a human being. My issue is how he conducts himself as a broadcaster. That's my issue. I could care less of how somebody is booked in wrestling. I could care less. I really do. I could give a shit. I don't care how Kevin Owens is booked. I don't care how Sami Zayn's booked. I don't care how Cesaro's booked. You see a trend right there. I don't care how the IWC favorites are booked. I don't care how the WWE corporate top guys are booked like Roman Reigns and et cetera. I don't. I sit back, I watch wrestling, I try to enjoy it for what it is, and that's it. I've always been that way, and I always will be that way. And when you look at what's going on with Ryback and all these other guys who are leaving the companies and leaving the business and now doing their podcasts like Vince Russo, and you got guys like Cornette, and you got a gazillion other examples I could use, and this constant venting just to build off a brand off of it. Like, I get it that wrestlers make a living out of working the fans. I'm not stupid. I'm not. He has a T-shirt on Pro Wrestling Tees that says "Don't be a fucking mark." I'm not a fucking mark. I'm a wrestling fan, but I'm also a broadcaster, and I'm also a good teller when people are on bullshit. I'm not stupid. I know how wrestlers work. It's not hard to figure out that wrestlers work fans to feed into their own brands and agendas. I'm not fucking stupid. And when Ryback starts his podcast, and it's all about venting, and he tries to do his best CM Punk impersonation every time he's on a podcast with Pat Buck, it's fucking annoying. It's repetitive. It's bullshit. Like, the guy stammers on the podcast, I'm the victim. And then he tries to push this narrative that he's a positive guy, and he goes off the secret book, and the secret is the way I look at life, and I feel I'm not a guy that wants to bring down people because of stuff that happened to me. And then he goes on a freaking 30-minute soliloquy about his experiences with John Cena. I never met John Cena. I don't know John Cena the man. I never had a chance to talk to him before. I never had a chance to see him. I've seen him in person, obviously going to the shows and stuff. But, ladies and gentlemen, I look at people and how they interact with me. I know there's people out there. For example, people that kill people or people who are long-living criminals. It's okay to call them jackasses and cowards because that's what they are. They did something wrong, and it's out in the public, and there's no way to look at it otherwise. But for somebody like me, I don't care if it's wrestling, sports, movie, music, etc. I am not going to go on my way and try to chastise somebody's personal character in real life without getting to know the person at first. You know, I've been victim of bullying during my life, and I've been victim of people labeling me and saying I'm this type of person, I'm that type of person, and I think it's bullshit. For me, to take Ryback seriously as a fellow broadcaster and a fellow podcasting colleague now, because he wants to be part of this community of being a guy who hosts a pro wrestling podcast. You know, first 1 second you want to be Mr. I'm the secret guy and I'm all about positivity, and then the next you're trying to play the woe is me card because to your accord, with no other people's point of view to validate that points of view, you vent to the up degree about all these things that held you back, and the business treated you like shit, and John Cena's a poison and he's a piece of shit, and all this other stuff that you say in your podcast. Like, how am I supposed to take you seriously? I'm not a gullible sheep. I think that's what separates me from the common wrestling fan, at least in today's wrestling. I am not a gullible sheep. Because Lance Storm says on a podcast, says something derogatory towards a certain person in the WWE on a podcast, that doesn't mean I'm going to agree with him or say he's 100% right in the topic. Nor am I going to be believing 100% of whatever Dave Meltzer reports on his stupid-ass website. I don't care what Conan says on the show. I don't care what Vince Russo says on the show. I don't even care what Eric Bischoff says on the show, and I actually enjoy his podcast, despite his annoying co-hosts. My thing is, I want somebody who has the courage and their own conviction to be freaking upfront with shit. I'm happy when people want to be like, oh, I'm just here to spread the truth. But when I can tell you're on bullshit like 5 or 10 minutes into your podcast already, how am I supposed to take you seriously? How? You're telling me that you're not doing the podcast without an agenda? Really? How do people leech onto programs? Because controversy creates cash, right? Oh, I'm going to come up with a story about John Cena treating me bad. It's going to make the go around the dirt sheets. And then I'm going to bitch about it the next week in the podcast, backpedaling, because, they just want to make me look bad without going to the source. I was there. They weren't. If you didn't want the attention from the topic, why did you bring it up in the first place? On a random January week, you decided to bring up a story about John Cena. I don't know. For me personally, guys, and I think some of you guys know me, especially for the good supporters of the podcast, like the Pipe Bomb, like from Raj to Nate the Great, and Mitchell, and Sam Rafferty, and so many other supporters of this show and the Pipe Bomb. I'm somebody that comes on here and I have an authentic opinion. I'll never come on this podcast and tell you guys that I'm right 100% of the time, or that you guys have to agree with what I have to say when it comes to professional wrestling. No, it's never been that way, and it'll never be that way. I could promise you with that. I'll never act that way, because I don't live my life that way. I just don't see no point to it. So there you go. There's a little venting section of the week towards the big guy. I don't have an agenda, but I'm going to go rip and come up with stories about how I was held back, and I'm going to try to impersonate CM Punk on a podcast every time I'm on the air with Pat Buck. Sorry, Ryback, bro. I can't take you seriously. I just can't. You say so much shit, and then when people call you out on it, you backpedal. I can't do it. I can't do it. So that's my thoughts on Ryback. We're going to move on here. I want to start talking about SmackDown for last week and also what's going on tonight. So the little clip I'm going to play right here is the Ambrose Asylum with special guest, The Miz. Hope you guys enjoy.
Now, about tonight, since we are in beautiful Cajun country here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, I thought it'd be really cool. I thought it'd be great if we got a live alligator on the show. But apparently, we don't have the permits. I did pick up this guy at the gas station, though. I named him Maurice. Now, since you can't interview an inanimate object, I settled for something just a little bit better. My guest tonight is a man who runs his mouth like the Energizer Bunny but never has anything interesting to say. My guest tonight
needs no introduction. Because here comes the A-lister, The Miz.
I want to talk about last week when you stole my title. Everyone here saw you coerced the referee into continuing the match when it should have been thrown out due to outside interference. Now, I wanted you to have the opportunity to do the right thing right now and hand over my Intercontinental Championship.
You know what? You're right, Miz. I do have something that belongs to you, and you deserve to have it back.
Thank you, Dean Ambrose.
Yeah, I got it right here under Maurice. Miz, this belongs to you. I want to present you with your very own Miz Participation Award.
Award that's Miz exactly what he deserves.
Because
Miz gave that to Dean.
buddy, you tried.
It's like handing back the Nobel Peace Prize. You don't re-gift something.
People say that you're not funny, Dean, but I gotta say, you are a funny guy. You are one of the funniest guys.
Oh! The Miz attacking Dean Ambrose. Well, Miz gave Dean Ambrose a fair chance of doing the right thing and giving him back his Intercontinental Championship, and you see how hard-headed the lunatic Dean Ambrose is. The mercurial Miz erupting on the Intercontinental Champion.
Now, he's a sore loser. Takes every opportunity just to try to blindside Dean here. Should have been happy.
Like Dean tried to
Participation award.
Oh, come on, David. That was first given to Dean by Miz. She's already been fined $5,000 by SmackDown Live. Did it? Maurice. And a kick to the midsection. Dirty deeds by Dean Ambrose.
SmackDown Live, the Blue Brand keeps kicking and rolling and kicking ass, heading towards the Royal Rumble. Looks like Miz and Dean Ambrose, their program's getting off the gates, and looks like they'll be heading into a clash at the Royal Rumble, possibly at WrestleMania, who knows. Quick question of the week for you guys, and I'd love to get your responses at Twitter at NotoriousJoshy. Answer this question. Honestly, what do you see Miz or Dean Ambrose doing at WrestleMania? And would you have a problem if Miz fought Dean Ambrose for the IC title at WrestleMania this year? Send those responses at Twitter at NotoriousJoshy, and I'd love to hear some feedback for you guys. So, SmackDown Live's emanating tonight from Memphis, Tennessee. Becky Lynch will be taking on Alexa Bliss again for the SmackDown Women's Championship. This time, however, it's the first time ever because it's going to be in the steel cage. The first ever Women's Championship steel cage match is going to be happening tonight. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully this is the culmination of what these two have been putting into their programming. We'll see who they'll be their next fellow, not companions, but bitter enemies after this feud's over. I'm looking forward to the match. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think, however, Alexa Bliss will walk out of Memphis tonight still your SmackDown Women's Champion, but I'm looking forward to it. And if it's me, I would have Becky and Alexa close out the show tonight, but that's my opinion. We also on the road to the Royal Rumble, as always, so we got to talk about the John Cena AJ Styles feud. Last week, John Cena had his match with Baron Corbin, which spawned off a lot of controversy of, oh, the Super Cena guy is back and all this other stuff. I don't know where I am when it comes to that particular point of view. I honestly thought the match was going to end in a DQ last week, but it didn't. So I don't know. I enjoyed the match, so I'm not losing sleep over the fact that Corbin did take the pin this past Tuesday. I don't know. That's just me. But it looks like people are already saying that John Cena is going to defeat AJ Styles at the Rumble and take the title into WrestleMania with the 16th title reign. I don't know, guys. I really don't know. Because here's another thing, and I'll tie in Raw into this as well. Because people keep saying that it's already a foregone conclusion that Roman Reigns is going to become the Universal Champion at the Royal Rumble. So people are already assuming the worst. That at Royal Rumble, the Golden Boys, John Cena and Roman Reigns are going to get titles. And, it's F the hardcore wrestling fans, that never-ending narrative that's out there. I'll believe it when I see it. I'm looking forward to both matches. I think Styles and Cena will have a chip on their shoulder going to that pay-per-view, especially with everybody saying that Kenny Omega and Okada was the greatest match ever since sliced bread. I happen to disagree with that. However, I'm looking forward to John Cena and AJ Styles. It's going to be a lot of fun. And people are automatically assuming that Roman Reigns is going to be Kevin Owens for the Universal Championship because, hey, Jericho became the U.S. Champion. I look at it the other way around. You already have the disadvantage from a storyline standpoint that the match is Chris Jericho is suspended above a shark cage in order to make sure that he doesn't interfere in the match. So I don't see how that automatically means Roman Reigns is going to win. I feel like in the past when they try to add an element of a gimmick to make sure that a certain person doesn't get involved in a match, usually the babyface still finds a way to lose in that match. I have a sneaky suspicion that both Kevin Owens and AJ Styles will walk out of the Alamo Dome still the WWE Universal and WWE World Heavyweight Champion. So that's my opinion. I know it's a little early Rumble prediction, and I probably have a clear, definitive point of view of who's walking out of those matches champions on our next week's Royal Rumble preview show. However, I want to see what's going to happen tonight. Will they try to say that, are they going to try to have John Cena looking tall over AJ Styles every SmackDown before the Royal Rumble, or will AJ get a little comeuppance on Cena tonight? I don't know. It's a good question. Something that's going to be cool tonight is the return of King's Court. For you old school WWF fans from the 90s like I am, the popular segment from Jerry the King Lawler returns, fitting that SmackDown Live tonight is from Memphis, Tennessee. So I'm looking forward to that. I want to see who his special guest is going to be. Also said that Shane McMahon's going to come out to start off the show tonight with a major announcement. So you got to wonder what that is. Is that a signing? Is it going to be a new entrant in the Royal Rumble match? I don't know. That's a good question. So a lot of things going to SmackDown Live. I'm looking forward to it. Becky Lynch, Alexa Bliss, Steel Cage, John Cena, AJ Styles. How Baron Corbin responds from his loss to John Cena. What's going on with the Dolph Ziggler heel turn. I wonder if Dolph Ziggler's the one on King's Court. I think that'd be very interesting, actually. I'm going to pin in Dolph Ziggler for King's Court tonight. How about that? Also, again, John Cena, AJ Styles. What's going to happen there? What's going to happen with Miz, Dean Ambrose? Will Renee Young finally start attacking Maurice? Who knows? A lot of things can happen. And don't forget, Talking Smack, one of the best forms of character development in the entire world of professional wrestling. Talking Smack. One of my favorite shows. So that's my thoughts on SmackDown. We're going to transition to the WWE UK Championship Tournament that I got to cover this past weekend for the Zone of Wrestle. And we got a brand new WWE United Kingdom Champion.
And Triple H, Vic Finlay, Finn Balor, William Regal, celebrating tonight with the rest of us all here in Blackpool. Pete Dunne, listen, he can't be disappointed. How can he be?
Ladies and gentlemen, your winner and first ever WWE United Kingdom Champion,
an incredible moment. You are watching history live on the WWE Network. Never before has the WWE crowned a United Kingdom champion.
This young man can't believe it. I've got tears in my eyes.
At the age of 19, Tyler Bate became the inaugural WWE United Kingdom champion. At the age of 19, I was in the middle of my run at the Illinois Center for Broadcasting, now turned Illinois Media School, and getting my broadcasting degree. Ladies and gentlemen, it was a phenomenal honor and privilege to cover this event for the Zone of Wrestle this past weekend, and I got to give props to all 60 men. I got to give props to William Regal. Got to give props to Triple H. Got to give props to Nigel McGuinness. And got to give props to Michael Cole. What all those guys did and what accomplished that tournament, what positives came out of that particular tournament was the fact that it's just spirit of competition. A lot of these young guys, I didn't know who they were because, you know, you have certain performers out in the independent circuit that get shoved down your throat, like the Young Bucks or Zack Sabre Jr. or Trent Seven. Maybe that's the only exception. Or who else? Who else is out there that gets shoved down our throats a lot from independent point of view? Like Kenny Omega and et cetera, et cetera. You know, I like seeing guys perform for the first time ever. And a lot of the fun elements of going to AEW shows here in Chicago is that, you know, I don't know a lot of these guys, for what their background is, what they stand for, who they're even trained by. I can see these performers firsthand, and they let their work speak for themselves. I think that's a very important life lesson in life. Be the authentic product that is yourself. Don't try to compare yourself to anybody. Don't say you're the CM Punk of Progress Wrestling. Don't say you're the Stone Cold Steve Austin of TNA. You're the Rock of Ring of Honor. You're the Hulk Hogan of Lucha Underground. Be the first you. Be the first Tyler Bate. Be the first Wolfgang. Be the first Roy Johnson. Hell, be the first Pete Dunne. Be all those guys. Be the authentic product that is yourself. The spirit of competition really got my spirits going in regards to being a wrestling fan. If you haven't had the opportunity to check out the WWE United Kingdom Championship Tournament, please go check that out. I got to give props to Michael Cole. Because, you know, I've ripped him in the past, and so has many people in the past, and maybe unfairly or fairly when it comes to him. But the fact that he did 2 full nights of high action, high octane offense with the UK Championship Tournament, plus a 3-hour show in Little Rock, Arkansas, of all places, you can't deny the guy's passion for the business. You just can't. You can't. You really can't. And what I love about the pairing between Michael Cole and Nigel McGuinness was that at times I wasn't even really recognizing that it was them calling the matches. It was just like they were there and they're providing the soundtrack of what was going on in the ring. You weren't distracted by idiotic sayings or weird references from JBL and Byron Saxton. What I loved about it is just that the commentary team was pure in that Michael Cole and Nigel McGuinness, and I thought it was great. I thought it was phenomenal. I think that you think about this in layman's terms. A 19-year-old won a United Kingdom Championship Tournament, and the story of it was that this young guy, despite his age, was performing at a level of a veteran. And I can see a lot of myself in Tyler Bate. Now, I'm 3 years older than the guy, but I remember a lot of times during my time, whether it was the times I was playing music. A lot of people tell me that I'm far ahead of than most people who are my age when it comes to playing guitar. Or I have a lot of people tell me that I'm far ahead of people my age that do this for a living in regards to being a broadcaster. I am a professional broadcaster. I do this for a living. Nobody can take that away from me. I went to broadcasting school. I got my degree. I got my certificate. I am a licensed, trained professional broadcaster. And so that bothers me when I see Sam Robertson be like, "Oh, I'm the last professional broadcaster." BS. I'm a professional broadcaster and I do it every week. So, no, enough of him, but that's not the point of this. But I love the tournament. There's so many awesome matches. So many guys that I didn't expect much from and was totally blown away with their performances from Wolfgang. Mark Andrews was kicking ass. I'll be honest with you, I was covering a lot of the TNA shows, and I couldn't care less about Mark Andrews in TNA. He was just there. It was like whatever. It's kind of sad how the X Division just went downhill. But what I love about this is that Mark Andrews got to show what he really was. He was phenomenal. He was absolutely phenomenal in the tournament this past weekend. I can't stress enough how great this tournament was. If you get the chance, please, by all means, go check it out. Support the WWE UK tournament. Follow them at Twitter at WWE UK CT on Twitter. And let's get you guys feedback. And you guys want to check out my play-by-play pieces I did, go to WrestleZone.com. You guys will find it right there. So, talked about SmackDown. Went on my little soliloquy about Ryback. Now let's wrap up the show. Talk about Monday Night Raw. The Beast came back to Little Rock, Arkansas, and all hell broke loose. Let's talk about Monday Night Raw.
Last week, I lost the United States Championship in a handicap match against Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens. But I'll tell you right now who's going to be complaining at the Royal Rumble. It's going to be KO because he's not going to have his best friend Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho's going to be locked in a shark cage above the ring, so that means KO is one-on-one with me. And KO can't beat me one-on-one. Nobody in the whole world can beat me one-on-one right now. My client, Brock Lesnar, is here at Raw tonight. Here's how the Royal Rumble match goes. Eat, sleep, elimination, repeat. Eat, sleep. That's funny, Paul. Brock must be somewhere eating or sleeping because he's not here with you.
I find it quite funny that you two are out here making your little WrestleMania plans when Chris and I are both the WWE United States and Universal Champion.
You see, it's just simple math. 1, KO beats Reigns at the Royal Rumble. 2, Jericho wins the Royal Rumble match. And 3, at WrestleMania, in the main event, best friends, Owens versus Jericho. And the best thing is, no matter who wins, we still remain the U.S. Universal Champion.
Man, my ears are burning up back there. Do I hear you guys talking about the main event of WrestleMania? Because you cannot have that conversation without Seth freaking Rollins. Thank you very much. I know a thing or two about it. And since I missed the entire show last year being on the shelf, I figure there's no better way to get myself back in the main event than to win the Royal Rumble match this year. You got that?
He hasn't forgotten the spear that Roman Reigns and Goldberg delivered. The big dog's not backing down. Heyman warned us. He said a storm was imminent.
can only imagine what is going through the mind of the Beast incarnate.
Sami Zayn! Zayn attacking Strowman from behind, and now a brawl is broken out of the ring. Sami Zayn and a Superman punch to Strowman. And the running knee from Rollins.
Roman still on his feet.
Helluva kick from Zayn. And Strowman knocked through the rope. Oh, no. Lesnar. And there's the Beast. Suplex City for Reigns.
I don't like the looks of this, Sami.
I think Sami Zayn's going for a run.
Suplex City has just taken over.
Brock begging for Strowman.
Yeah.
What a moment. Strowman and Lesnar. And Strowman says, let's wait until the Rumble match. But Reigns with a Superman punch to Lesnar. And now Jericho knocked off the apron. And Owens as well. The Beast is back up. Here's the Storm. F5 to Reigns.
You're wondering what kind of mood Brock Lesnar's in? I think you just answered that question.
No, it's funny. We hear that Brock Lesnar's back and the Beast. Yeah, the Beast is back and he's going to get his title back. And all this other stuff. Or you hear Bucky Beaver Boy. Yeah, I like Brock. He's good. He's a very, 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 very good. Brock Lesnar needs to go home and stay the hell home. You know what's interesting about this? Brock comes back on Monday. He comes back last night. And the only two people that stood out for that segment in the beginning was, in my opinion, Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns. I know what you guys were thinking. Oh, Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho. Of course they stand out. They're doing great work. No, Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns. Maybe it's just me, but if you guys listen to what that promo represented for Roman, I thought he did a good job. I thought he did a very good job. I always say this on a lot of shows. Roman is good when you let him be himself and you don't have people constantly interrupting him. He was on a roll. He says, I'm going to be going for my third consecutive main event of WrestleMania, and look straight in the camera. And then what happens? Paul Heyman comes out. I love Paul Heyman. Who doesn't love Paul Heyman? My thing is, let the brother talk without having somebody interrupt him. What's so hard in wrestling today to have one person cut a promo, then just leave the ring? You don't always need somebody to come out there and interrupt them. I thought Raw was solid last night. I didn't think it was awesome or horrible or anything like that. I've been very consistent with that point of view, guys. I'm not as harsh on Monday Night Raw as other people do, but at the same time, I'm not bloviating it over it either. Raw has its flaws, and I've always been known as being the SmackDown guy. And there's a certain bias to it because I do cover the show live every week. But I love trying to learn something new with every wrestling show I watch. Whether I'm covering the show live or not, I always feel like I learned something new with every wrestling show I watch. Good, bad, or different. Just like every time I listen to a wrestling podcast, I always learn something new from a positive and negative standpoint. That's the fun part of being a broadcaster, is that you can point out things to do and what not to do when it comes to doing broadcasting. And I know I have flaws. Nobody's perfect in this game. But try to learn from other people's mistakes. And I always had this saying that I've been living with for a long time. Try your best to exceed your work ethic. We always hear people talk about, I have this certain goal that I want to reach, and I'm going to do it no matter what. That's perfectly fine. I agree. You should go out and go fulfill your dreams. My thing is, don't talk about it. Let your work ethic speak for itself. And you feel like if you're not able to outdo what you're doing towards a certain goal, then maybe that goal's not meant to be. So that's my little motivational moment of the week, I guess, over there for you guys. So take it as you will. Going back to Raw, I really enjoyed the Gallows and the Club versus Sheamus versus Cesaro match for the Raw Tag Team titles. They killed it last night. I thought they did a phenomenal job. It looks like the Rumble is going to get them out just about the same time as Survivor Series did, so I'm expecting it to be a long pay-per-view. So I'm expecting to see Gallows and Anderson and Sheamus versus Cesaro added to the card, and I really don't have a problem with that. I really don't. They kept building and building towards the Royal Rumble, and I was only 3 years old when the Royal Rumble was at the Alamo Dome, so this should show my age right there. The Alamo Dome is going to be back January 29th for this year's Royal Rumble, and I don't know how you would compare this build towards the Royal Rumble pay-per-view as to 1997 in regards to anticipation or how it's affecting ticket sales and this and that. My thing is, look at I mentioned it last week about part-timers. I know Vince has this point of view that he needs to go to the past and to instill confidence for the fans to be invested into these big marquee shows. But I think what Vince misses out on is that his brand is already over. That's what sells these shows from people attending it. People, the whole thing of, I need to have a certain marquee person out there or I'm not going, I think it's kind of passé, at least when it comes to wrestling, because look at WrestleMania last year. While I enjoyed that WrestleMania and I didn't hate it like everybody else, there was a lot of things going against that WrestleMania just from an injury point of view and how it messed up the roster and other matches that could have happened on that show. We were just stuck, and they were able to bring in over 90,000 people into AT&T Stadium with a card that wasn't even worthy of that stadium. Think about that. Now, I don't know if it's hard to get people in the Alamo Dome. I really don't think a 60,000 seat stadium should be that hard to fill. So, I don't know. Maybe it's just my opinion, but I think, hey, if they can squeeze in 7,000 to 10,000 people for a TNA pay-per-view in the Alamo Dome, I think they sure as hell can do it for the Royal Rumble. But that's my opinion. I'm telling you, man, I'm very, very excited for this pay-per-view coming up a week from Sunday. I've been personally kind of indifferent with the NFL playoffs, so I can honestly care less about it. And I just want the NFL playoffs to be over with so we get ready for WrestleMania season, and I'm ready to see who's going to be facing who at WrestleMania, who's going to make their returns at the Royal Rumble. I just can't wait, man. There's so many different options to go with the Royal Rumble match this year. It's come to the point where I don't even care who wins the Royal Rumble match this year. I really don't. There's so many good options. There's so many different ways to go about whoever wins. And the best part about it, I keep saying it, the best part about having Royal Rumbles now with the brand split, it doesn't matter who wins the Royal Rumble match because you have 2 world title matches and you have all these other stacked guys on the roster. The roster's lit. Everybody knows it. The roster's filled with phenomenal performers, and I just can't wait for this pay-per-view, man. With already Neville versus Rich Swann, you probably got Miz and Dean Ambrose, Bayley, Charlotte. By the way, I thought Bayley and Charlotte had a really good night this past Monday at Raw. Also, John Cena, AJ Styles, Roman Reigns, Kevin Owens, possibly Gallows and Anderson for Sheamus and Cesaro again. The card is freaking stacked, man. I can't wait. I really, really can't wait. So, anyways, that's going to wrap up my thoughts here for this week's Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. Oh, just one last thing, because I promised I was going to save some TNA thoughts. I haven't had a chance to watch last week's episode because I was busy doing some other stuff, but I want to give props to the DCC because that may be my new favorite theme song. And also, Don West is back. How about that? Don West is back. The greatest hype salesman ever in professional wrestling. Oh, man. Phenomenal. Just phenomenal. All right. That's my TNA minute. we're going to head out. Thank you guys so much for checking out this week's edition of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. As always, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Audio Boom. Make sure to check out the podcast on YouTube, youtube.com/Josh Lopez, or just type in Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast and you guys will find it. And make sure to follow me on Twitter at Notorious Joshi. Make sure to check me out on the Pipe Bomb with McCool & Company on the New Age Insiders Network every Friday. That's also on iTunes. Subscribe to their iTunes channel. Leave a positive review and rating for this show. Yeah, I'd love to get some feedback for you guys. And thank you guys, as always, for the support. Congrats to Kurt Angle going into the Hall of Fame. More inductees should be announced soon. I'm looking forward to it. Man, literally 12 days away from the Royal Rumble. I can't wait. I can't wait. Thank you guys so much for checking out episode 38 of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. Remember, folks, be the authentic product that is yourself. And you can't change the world if you can't change yourself in the process. Peace. Love you guys. Talk to you next week.